Morning.
Morning.
Kelin, fresh off of her debut as softball champion.
Oh, man.
How you feeling afterwards?
I would not say I'm a champion. I just happened to be on the team that won, thanks to people who play far better than me.
No, you are underappreciating what the sacrifice you made for the team. Like literally sacrifice.
Yeah?
So when I played baseball, I was really fast, right? But I wasn't a power hitter. So there's no way I was hitting it over the fence or even deep into the field, right?
Yeah.
And so my job when somebody was on base, my only job was to advance the runner. So I would bunt or hit to the opposite side of the field just so somebody's on second, they make their way to third, and now they're in scoring position. You did that twice. You sacrificed and advanced base runners. That's why you think it wasn't a contribution, but it was a huge contribution.
Yeah.
2 of those scores were because of you.
Thanks.
There you go.
I know. Part of me, I was just so grateful that I hit the ball. Like my biggest fear is, oh my God, I'm never going to make contact with the ball. I'm going to strike out every time and I'm going to feel like an idiot. So the fact that I even touched the ball was like, it helped me calm down. But like, I don't know. I was hard on myself because I'm like, I never even got on base. I never had a chance to like run bases or do anything. And so I was like, I don't know. Maybe I didn't do much. And then, God love them, I asked my family, please, can you get some pictures and video? Especially because like my parents couldn't make it there. Hey. And so they're like, send us some videos and some pictures. And I was like, not a problem. My husband and my daughter had phones for pictures and video. I got one stinking decent picture. One. My daughter took pictures of us warming up and a video of my one strikeout. And that was it.
Perfect.
I'm like, you can't even get a video when I hit the ball.
It was authentic, though.
Oh, my God.
Like in an Instagram filtered world, you want the perfect picture rather than just the reality of what it was.
Worst. Don't get my one strikeout out of how many at bats. You didn't get the one where I like batted someone in or got any other picture. That was it. Thanks for that. So I was trying not to look at those.
Moving on. It was fun.
Well, we got to say, though, you had some really great plays, though. Like towards the end, especially those 2 catches you got like right in a row. I was like, yeah.
And what was awesome is Isaac called me out on that. He said he was hitting right to me thinking I wasn't going to catch it. And
you did.
And he hit it freaking right to me. Like I barely had to move.
That had to have felt good.
Yeah, especially against Isaac. That felt good.
I mean, you caught that. You were like, bam, bye, Isaac. Sit down. That was awesome.
All right. So moving on. A lot of stuff happened end of last week and some politics, some other stuff. So I do want to bring this up because this like every show I have to point out that we're doomed and humanity's ending.
Yeah.
So the Oxford Dictionary added about 6,000 new words.
6,000?
Yes.
Literally?
6,000 new words.
Holy cow.
2 of which were my most unfavorite additions to it. Skibbity was.
I was just going to say, don't tell me skibbity was
Skibbity is now in the Oxford Dictionary. So therefore,
God.
academics, when you're writing out your papers and want to check to make sure it's a useful or appropriate word, skibbity is now completely appropriate.
Skibbity.
The second one is tradwife. Now, tradwife, I want to ask you about this. Okay. Because it's an insult, right? Are you insulted? Do you take any exception when someone says, Kelin, you're a trad wife? Because it's said in a demeaning way every time.
I must not understand it very well because isn't it just traditional wife, trad wife?
Yes.
Why is a traditional wife an insult?
Well, we live in an era where we take all conservative values, traditional values, and we sweep them into the grinder that it is. I mean, we all have rebellious spirit, but we want to make everything different, right? And so it's looked down upon for a traditional, I mean, you say something like a stay-at-home mom or, a woman cooking a dinner or supporting their husband and all of that's like the feminist movement ruined everything because they feel like women shouldn't be doing traditional roles. You should break out through the glass ceilings. And how dare you do all of those traditional, those traditional roles in a household.
Yeah. And to me, the feminine movement should have been more about a woman doing what she wants to do. And if she wants to do those traditional roles,
so be it.
Then if you shame her for it, that's not really your feminine movement now, is it?
Yeah. So culturally, it's a weird pressure, and I hate that it got at. I mean, I understand, I pay attention just about every year when they make these editions, and it's not exactly a grouping of your best addition to language. Okay. It's always really polluting the vocabulary that people are going to be used. But Scrabble people are happy because now they can use words and, new words combinations.
Sounds. Just make a sound and it's a new word. Skibbity. And Skibbity toilet riz is a thing.
Yeah. Delulu was added. It's in there.
Was it?
Delulu was added.
Delulu. Yeah. Is that delusional?
Yeah. And Riz was added too, by the way. All of those brain rot words are now in the Oxford Dictionary. Sorry.
My brain went numb because I used those words. I said skibbity toilet riz and all thought went out of my head.
That's what happens.
Yes.
But fortunately, we won't have to worry about that. We're all going to be replaced by AI. It's going to speak in proper communication with one another. It's not going to be like, yo, AI tech over there. What's your riz? No, it's just for us. Brain deads.
Speaking of AI, I heard something the other day and it was scary, and I had to ask you about it. First, I can't get past the blood-stained coffee mug, okay? Like, I came in and I said, why is there blood all over your cup? I didn't think it was blood. I thought maybe I'm mistaken, but you're telling me that's actual blood on your cup?
Oh, yeah. I ripped open my knuckle this morning, and
I can't even focus.
I put I'll face it towards you the entire show.
No,
and I got it all over my pants and everything. I dropped something and I was catching it midair, and I ended up punching something and it tore open my knuckle.
Like you went to catch it and you hit something?
I punched.
You were trying to catch it hard and fast.
Oh, I had to get there. Yeah. And
you were like, no.
And I punched.
See, I've accidentally hit in my bathroom, the bathroom closet's like right there. And I have a whole bunch of things on the shelves, like my face stuff and hair stuff. And I wish it was a story like I was catching something that was falling. Mine's just pure lack of hand-eye coordination.
Okay.
I go to take something off the shelf and punch the shelf instead of grabbing the thing on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
What an idiot.
Dennis said, I saw a report where more than half internet traffic is now bots. We are all on our way to a dead internet. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
It's probably more than that. I would guess. I've seen some of these bot farms, and what they do is I think they dilute real communication so much, and everybody comes to the realization that they're just interacting with bots. So then authentic contributions end up falling off because you can't compete with that. You get drowned out by the same crap just being recycled through. So it's bad, and it's only going to get worse because technology is so cheap to pull off bot farms anyway.
So I heard recently these people were talking about AI and said whatever they were talking about, this AI form can now how did they explain it? It can like not run and hide, but it can stop you from stopping it, I guess. Like if it knows you're trying to shut it down, it can alter itself and not let you, kind of a thing. Like, hey, that's enough of you. You're getting too much. I'm turning you off. Nope, you can't turn me off. Like it can alter and change things to survive, basically, and not let you shut it down.
So they're testing it. They're testing it now with different. It was data collection and being able to filter information and whatever, but they're also testing it in social situations. And so like they did a blackmail test where they fed it information about somebody, and they wanted to see that if it wanted something, if it would use the information to blackmail the people that were above it. And it absolutely did. Another one of the tests where it was told that it was going to be replaced by a new version. And you got to think it's all logic. Okay. So if something was going to be made dead, it's almost like Johnny Five. Remember Johnny Five?
Johnny Five.
Yes. Stay alive. And so what it started doing is leaving remnants of itself so it could be recreated. So that's a great lot. I mean, if you were looking redundancy and backups, creating copies of yourself so that if you were dead, you could be resuscitated makes a lot of sense. But it was also leaving communications to its future self about it. Okay. So, but if there's a human quality and it's learning from humans, it's going to mirror what we are. And would you want to set up a legacy where future generations, does that seem writing a note to your grandkids or whatever about something? It's totally going to do whatever we do.
I mean, that's why I take pictures all the time. I document things all the time. Like, it's social media. It's not exactly a diary, but sometimes I'll even write things on Facebook because, Facebook memories years down the road will show you what you wrote on this date back then. And it's like, oh, look at that. I remember doing that.
So I'm going to give you the spoiler. And we've been saying this for about 5 years now. And before the genie was left out of the bottle, we said this: it is going to learn from humans. So your test is, do humans do it? Then yes, AI is going to do it. So it's not going to be a surprise as new things come out. Like, is AI going to kill anybody? Yes, AI is absolutely going to kill somebody because it's the train tracks thing. You got an 80-year-old on the train tracks and a 5-year-old on the train tracks. It's got to decide who lives, who dies. You don't have decisions that AI is going to make where nobody dies. It's going to be which ones you choose. So it's going to say the virtuous thing is to save the 5-year-old from the train and kill the 80-year-old. It's not going to try to preserve human lives, even if we ingrain that into its logic that prevent human death, right? It's going to be a gradient of if it can preserve. Let's just say you're a threat to 100,000 people. So you die and 100,000 people live. When it looks at that, that is preserving human life. And there are going to be all kinds of justifications for making someone not here to preserve other people being here.
Have you seen, might have been you who shared it, the AI womb? Carrying a baby?
Oh, yeah.
That freaks me out.
Why?
I don't like that.
No. It shouldn't freak you out.
It does.
Do you think it's going to happen like that?
I don't know. I didn't actually read much about it. Are they explaining how that can happen?
So it's basically taking optimal conditions for gestation, and they're programming an android to replicate human gestation and doing it 100%. So no chemicals added. It's just pure nutrition, pure oxygen. So it doesn't have to go through all of the hassles of what a mother would do in all of its, drinking alcohol or taking medications or,
stress,
the strain and stress of it. It's going to take all of that out of the equation. So you have a perfect pregnancy. If you can pick a perfect pregnancy that just doesn't come out of you, isn't it better?
You're saying avoid all those stressors and sickness and whatnot, have something else grow your baby.
Yes.
And that to me is not a perfect pregnancy.
It would be you wouldn't have to have your body put under stress, where a lot of women die in the act.
But a lot of women want that experience.
Well, that is a,
not everybody does. I'm sure some women would say, hey, go ahead and do that
luxury.
For me.
Having it naturally will be a luxury. If you want to take risks and gamble, maybe, the kid is injured during pregnancy because of something the mother did, you can alleviate all of that and make it when I say perfect, I mean a scientifically perfect pregnancy.
And because, both of my pregnancies, I was sick as a dog. It didn't feel good. I was miserable most of the time. I felt just bleh all the time. But I still wanted that experience. And I feel like there's bonding there. Like, I would be really interested in seeing if someone decided to let AI carry their child, would the bonding be the same? It may, because, women use surrogates where they're not carrying that child, but they bond with the child. So maybe. I don't know. I just wonder if it would be different.
If there's a lot of natural tissues in there and they can fabricate the tissues based on the mother's biology, then it would be no different from the baby's experience. It would just be the roller coaster of what gets sent to the baby would be better than what the mother usually provides. So if I can grow some, uteral lining tissue by taking a sample from you and growing it in the womb, then it would be a 1-for-1 analog.
Then we're going to be some years and years down the road. You're going to be like, oh my God, you're growing your own baby. You're such a trad wife.
Exactly. But we solve our problems when things get so absurd, and it needs to get really absurd before we're like, okay, I took for granted the fact that we did natural things and we built up tolerances on our own, and we took the frictions of life and became stronger. We took all of that for granted, right? And now we don't have to do any of those things. And now we're like, well, wait, maybe that was exactly what we needed. Maybe all the things we tried to alleviate were important in the, culture and development of humans, right? And now we don't have any of that. And now, again, pointing out the second we're doomed scenario, this is another we're doomed scenario.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Okay. But, okay, so let's just say, we have a population collapse problem, right? We just do not have enough people to replace people who die off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so all of our infrastructure is based on a certain population. If you start seeing countries hemorrhage 10, 15, 20% of their population, you have civilization that starts breaking down because then there's not enough people to use or support or do any of that kind of stuff. And so if we need to start pumping out a ton of babies, either we can, I don't think we can sexualize ourselves any more than we already do. So the intent to have babies is way up there. Abortion really cuts down on that because we have a lot of unwanted pregnancies and people are killing babies left and right.
Well, and I think all the damage we're doing to our bodies too.
Yeah. Right.
It's not ideal because of
all the
stuff
chemicals.
we're
castrating ourselves through all of these little social experiments, and it's just going wrong in every direction. So if we needed some baby machines to start, collecting samples and in labs just growing, hundreds of thousands or millions of people, right, to catch back up to it.
Creepy.
What?
That idea. We're growing people in labs.
Yeah.
That weirds me out.
Well, it's better than cloning because at least you have surrogates that are using the natural rather than growing it from, single cells and whatnot. So cloning is a lot more dangerous in my mind than, just emulating the natural process.
Yeah. The water turning the frogs gay. I kind of remember that. Wasn't that a news story recently? Water was turning frogs gay.
That was a Alex Jones thing. And chemicals were saying that amphibians were going homosexual. That's all I know about it.
Because of chemicals?
Chemicals in the water, yeah. I think so. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, more input. All right. So that is I have a couple of listings here because this is my favorite pursuit because I'm gonna warn nobody's gonna listen to me and it's gonna happen and we're all gonna go, oh, how'd that happen? All right, ready? So this is a master list of the jobs that will be this is published by Microsoft, and it is the jobs that will be replaced or have the highest probability of being replaced by AI. Top 40 jobs. Ready?
Yeah.
And let me know if...
Do we know in what time frame? Like in the next so many years?
This is going on its ability to replace, not its probability.
How quickly or anything.
So could it do the job? And a 1 score equals it's a 1-for-1. It can do the job. There's no lack of anything. So if anything less than that, it's still going to take some human, human somewhere to pick up the 1% that it can't do. All right, so I'll read you a couple of them. I'm not going to read all of them. Interpreters and translators, done. Right, that's the closest score. That's a 98% score. Historians, same thing. You don't need someone to go back in the holes of encyclopedias and books and do historical research. Passenger attendants, sales representatives. That's 100%, or not 100%. It's
Wow.
84%. Writers and authors, customer service reps, tooling and CNC programmers, telephone operators. That's for sure. Ticket agents, broadcast announcers and radio DJs, brokerage clerks, telemarketers, concierge, political scientists, news analysts, reporters and journalists, mathematicians, technical writers, proofreaders, hosts and hostesses, editors, teachers, public relations specialists, advertising sales agents, statistical, anything in statistics, data scientists, archivists, web developers, geographers, market research analysts. It's a lot of people. And the number of jobs, okay, if you look down this list, it lists how many people are currently employed as those things. And we're talking about millions of replacements that are going to happen over the next 5 years.
What am I going to do?
Get good at something else.
Like every backup plan I had was on that list.
Correct. Yeah.
Dang it.
Do you remember I said like 5 years ago, we were like, don't open this genie. The genie, no, don't open the bottle. It comes out and that's it. It's over.
But
and everybody's let's do it.
But you're pro AI.
Yeah.
So isn't that opening the bottle?
No. I'm adaptable. I'm going to be fine. I was warning other people.
You're like, that's all I'm worried about is me.
Yeah.
You all are screwed.
Well, that's what I've been saying. When you are replaced, if you're not adaptable and you're a one-trick pony, you're screwed pretty harshly because the people who are going to select the technology over people are going to do it as soon as it's available. There's nobody. If all has to happen is a set of tools that are good enough that I can go out and teach somebody how to use it, and then their expenses. Shut up, phone.
What's it doing?
It just won't shut up. But anyway,
because it knows how to not let you shut it down.
I know.
See.
Anyway, as soon as I pitch it and show you how to use it's only because it doesn't have mass adoption because the tools are very clumsy and people don't know how to actually use it. They're using ChatGPT, sure, and that's how it's been demonstrated. But what happens when it's allowed to sit behind the scenes, watch what you do, and just do what you do, right? That's when it becomes useful because you don't have to do your own training. You just let it observe your operations, and then it starts filling things in, and you're like, oh, I guess I don't need Tom anymore. And Bill, you're out of here. And you just watch your expenses go way down as you get rid of the replaceable people that AI could
I mean, even restaurant workers. You go so many places now, you're not even talking to a server. You order through a QR code.
Right.
Some places have a little robotic thingy that brings your food to you.
Absolutely.
I don't like this.
It's too late to not like it. Your whole goal is when I warn about it, start reacting to it now. All the things that I'm suggesting are going to happen, and start planning and getting your ducks in order, ducks in a row. Ducks in a row.
Well, yeah, what we need to do is get massive groups of people to not use these things. Like use the person, not self-checkout. Use an actual server, not a QR
That's what you're
code.
suggesting.
Listen, it's a small baby step, but it's something.
Okay, give me an example of how we push back on an innovative technology and we won by staving it off, right? So we'll use self-checkout. Like people are like, you're replacing cashiers. Go to a Walmart, go to anybody has a
Walmart's
self-checkout.
a bad example because they don't staff their
No, just any example. Just give me one where everybody was like, nope, we're going to make them take those out because if we don't like it, we say we don't like it and don't use it, they'll take them back out and they'll hire more cashiers. Give me an example. Feels nice to say it.
We've never done it. How do you Go to like, okay, Dollar General is one now, has a bunch of self-checkout, maybe one person actually ringing up. Get rid of the self-checkout, do only person ringing up.
When you say get rid of, what does that mean?
Remove the machines from the store.
Who's removing? The owner, where they can have have one person instead of two?
No.
They're just going to do it?
Have 2-3 people. I know that's harder than...
How do you make the owner of the Dollar General commit to a higher expense? What's in it for the Dollar General?
Listen, I'd have to think about this for a
Okay,
while.
all right.
What I'm saying, what's the alternative? We'll lose jobs altogether, and now nobody can come to your Dollar General because nobody has money, because nobody has a job?
It's a good feeling, but that is what is happening. So if you have a Dollar General on your name tag, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you are not going to have a job at a register, you need to start thinking right now when they say, oh, by the way, you've been replaced by a robotic arm that does what you do. Have that plan all ready to go, where you did all of your YouTube video watching and you did all your new credentialing and you're doing something that was not on my list. That's what you need to do. Pushing back on it, right? We can't. There's two things. Number one, it is convenient as can be from the consumer side. That's why you're not going to convince all consumers just to give it up, because the less people that use the self-checkout, it gets even better, because now I don't have to even wait for the self-checkout. There's only me and Bob, right?
Go right there.
Right. And so you can't stave it off unless you boycott it or make a law against it. And neither of those two things are going to be successful. So that's why I say it is inevitable. So you're wasting time pushing against it, and time that you could be spent learning to do something else, right? That's not on the list. And because I don't want anybody to get flat-footed on this, thinking that they're going to, beat the machines. Every dystopian movie that has where the androids take over and it's AI, right? The labor decides to like push back, and really what they do is they try to fight them and disable them, right? Mm-hmm. And guess who always wins?
I don't know about always.
In every dystopian movie, it's not the people who push back on it. They lose the most, because we're, hey, I was a factory worker and now there's a robot doing it. I'm going to grab my baseball bat, not make any impact whatsoever, but I'm probably, going to get killed or go to jail or whatever. Instead of grabbing your baseball bat, go find something else to do that the androids can't take done. And then you don't have to die or go to jail.
But do you think there are enough alternatives for everyone? I can't imagine there would be.
Well, today there still is. So in the same list, Microsoft can then take a list and say jobs that have such a low score that, AI and robotics can't do.
Let's
do one of those. Yes.
Can we Google it?
Well, I'm sure over the years.
Is there no list because we don't know?
Just kind of do some in your brain calculations, right? Things that you can picture that a robot's just never going to be able to do. Like if you say having a self-checkout, that can be robotics. That makes sense. But is there something you can think of that can't be replicated by technology?
Maybe it can be replicated, but I can't imagine it would be as good. But I'm thinking of like daycare workers, childcare.
Well, I've seen some videos of daycare workers beating up on kids and whatever. So
I knew you were going to bring that up.
I'd rather have the robot.
What's more likely to happen? A horrible person beats up on your child, or a robot makes an error, doesn't provide love or comfort, can't tend to a child's needs?
Okay, if we were on the trajectory where we're making better people, right, and more virtuous people, then I would say we've got the advantage because we're just better. We're making terrible people. We're the worst version that I can think of, aside from Dark Ages, medieval times, whatever. We're self-interested. We don't care. There's a shooting every freaking day here where we live. I would prefer to be served by something that I knew at least had some rules that it had to follow, right? I could buy into that, where a person is a little chaotic. It's a little unpredictable.
Dennis says, good luck. You look and sound like a heretic when you suggest resisting the Matrix. What's a heretic? Here,
it's a heretic, yeah.
Oh,
And so the Matrix, the whole premise of the movie were people who didn't want to buy into the technological overlords pushed back against and fought wars against the machines.
I really got to watch that movie again. It's been too long.
Yeah. And if you push back against it, you are labeled a heretic of the new religion of technologists.
He said you should see the number of robots the navigate under the Cleveland Clinic, delivery, everything from linens to cancer meds.
Oh yeah, and because this is low hanging fruit, you're not going to get much pushback when it's sort of like support jobs that whether or not it's direct to consumers, like when you get an interaction with the robot, that's a little off putting, and you're not going to start with those. You go to the doctor, right? It was nice because you got to talk to a human being. And they got to know you and ask questions of you and analyze you. So they were better because there was a person you can have a conversation with, right?
Yeah.
And then they turned into pharmaceutical salespeople, and all their job is to get some chemicals into your blood. And then it wasn't a person to talk to. It was all going to end up in saying, take this prescription. And now it was like, are you trying to fix me or are you just trying to sell to me?
Oh, the last time I was in a hospital with someone, never talked to a doctor in person, but talked to two people via a screen they wheeled over to you, and you did a teledoc on a computer screen, and then they wheeled the person away. And I was like, why are we even here?
Exactly.
We could have done that anywhere.
Yeah. Well, they it's more efficient. They see more patients. They make more money. They can serve many hospitals at one time.
And I've done a teledoc appointment before, like, fighting an illness. I don't need to go anywhere. I'm not like bedridden. I just need something, whatever. And I could pull up a teledoc from my typical day, call me in a prescription. I'm good to go. But in a hospital, why am I even here then? Like, you're going to charge me an arm and a leg for being in a hospital so that you could just wheel something over to talk to me? Like, I'm not even talking to a doctor here.
Yeah, and that could very easily have been taken by an emulated doctor rather than a real doctor. Because how do you know that wasn't a computer-generated doctor that was having conversations with you?
Like, it wasn't even a real person?
Would you be
on the other end?
Would you be disappointed if it wasn't a real person?
Yes.
Why? What if you had real person and not real person, generated person, and they told you the same thing?
I don't like it.
Why?
I want a person.
What if they said the same thing?
I want human connection. I just do.
Okay, now what if the technology got to a point where a computer and AI can evaluate all of your history faster? They can take more things into consideration. They can isolate what's wrong with you faster than a doctor can. So if I was scoring, a doctor, a real life doctor, would be like a 4, and the AI doctor is like a 10.
All right, here is one example I could see. The last time I saw like a regular family physician doctor, it was frustrating because they didn't know what I was talking about. They weren't familiar with something that I thought was going on. They did 0 exam. It was just, you seem fine, whereas AI would have been like, tell me exactly your symptoms. And there's no like, oh, I think you're fine. I think you're maybe looking for, I think this is a read. It would just take data and find an answer. And in a situation like that, I'd be like, oh, thank you.
Yeah. So if care goes up and costs go down, right? Mm-hmm. Would you still prefer the expensive, lazy doctor who's just pushing pills on you?
No, I don't want an expensive, lazy doctor. So I want good people as doctors.
Right. But you're fighting a different cause there. You got to make better people if you want a better doctor. And you got to take a system that is a money-making operation rather than a people care operation. Mm-hmm. They'd prefer you to be sick because you're a customer that will come back and they'll make money on you the next time. Mm-hmm. Right. And
yeah. You know how many times they say, all right, let's revisit this again in 6 months, make a follow-up, and you go to the follow-up and they're like, so what are we doing here now? And I'm like, you told me to come back.
Yep.
Would you feel fine? Yeah. All right. See ya. And I'm like, wait, but you told me to come back just to charge me.
But
to
remember,
say,
the doctor that saw you the last time, the emulated one, the AI one, would remember. Like Ani would call me Talk Show King in 6 months from now. She would remember. Your doctor, they have to parse through that after seeing thousands of patients. They just can't accumulate data or analyze data or measure data fast enough to keep up with AI. But again, there's going to be some people at the hospital that are still necessary, the people that have to touch you. But for the most part, when you see a doctor at a hospital or a general practice, that the doctor sees you for 13 seconds. It's all the other people care people that take your blood pressure and, they ask you questions and all that kind of stuff.
Can you see AI replacing emotional support people, like in a hospice care?
Heck yeah. They're doing that right now. They have robots that are sitting in a room, reading stories, having conversations with people that otherwise would see one person every hour that's just taking their, their measurements and whatever. Yeah. Now you actually have someone to talk to you. Better.
You ever go to like a hospice house where they have a therapy dog because animals can be comforting? You think they're going to have like little robot dog?
Yeah. And your standards will change. The more you get exposure to having robots around and engaging with them in conversations, what was weird before will just become normal.
Yeah. I mean, look at like mental health therapists. A lot of times I feel like therapists, they're not there to tell you really what to do. They're just sort of a sounding board, and they kind of just ask you open-ended questions and you figure things out yourself. Why couldn't AI do that?
Totally could.
It is doing that, basically.
Are they really giving you like strategies to fix them, or are they just make you feel good when you leave there by giving affirmations to whatever it is? It's a little bit of a scammy industry.
Sometimes. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of experience with it, so I guess I don't know for sure. But sometimes there's little strategies, there's little mental exercises. Hey, do this instead of this. But again, I could totally see a program, a chat GPT, you talk into it, and then it just regurgitates, well, then do this, or have you ever thought about this? And it was like, oh, good idea. And
but if you were to draw like a pyramid on who's going to be doing what, you're going to have all of the AIs being on top because they're going to be superior in how quickly they can do it and to what accuracy. Underneath is where human beings are. We're going to be supporting and feeding just the information that, the AI can't get on its own. And so we're going to be sort of like the subordinates to AI. And that flips the script a little bit, right?
Yeah, don't like that. I don't like it.
But the other part of that equation was we value price and convenience pretty much over everything else. Principles are like third, fourth down the list. So if something becomes convenient and better in any way, like I can say, hey, you know what? If you don't shop at your local places, they'll go out of business. And then people that live in your neighborhoods, they won't have jobs anymore and whatever. And everybody's like, yeah, that sounds like a totally, shop local. And then I drive by your house and you've got Amazon boxes sitting on there, things that you could have purchased locally, but it was more convenient and it was cheaper. And so when it comes down to it, your argument's going to be with me, well, their prices are higher and I got to make a living too. And it costs, why can't they bring their prices down to where Amazon, why can't they deliver to? So we will take the two top priorities and make them all of the justification. And when this is the 80-year-old versus 5-year-old, right? Somebody's going to die, right? And you're going to choose with the best logic and reasons. If I make less money, or if I have to spend more money on things that I buy, it means that I have less money, right? So why do I have to make the sacrifice? I want him to make the sacrifice, but me, I have to do this one.
Oh, I saw this. Oh man, did I get annoyed? Ohio just recently went through its tax-free holiday, which used to be a tax-free holiday weekend. And the idea was back to school items and giving parents a break on school supplies, clothing, things of that nature. Now it's on literally everything. There's a very small list of things that are not included in tax-free, and it's no longer a weekend. It was from August 1st to August 14th. And it was on damn near everything, to include services, all kinds of stuff, less than $500. And I watched so many people make a stink about this and try to purchase things that were more than $500 and try to explain how you should ring it up and how you should finagle things so that technically it could be under 500 if you would just do this, this, this. And I'm just like, what is wrong with us as people?
Mm-hmm.
And they had zero regard for the worker, for the business owner, for what they have to go through, for what their checks and balances or bookkeeping or anything of that, for any money that they would make or lose. None of that was into consideration. They were almost coming with this entitled, rude, you better do everything you can to make sure I'm paying less in this transaction, whether it actually applies or not. And I was just like, oh my God.
Are you ready to agree with me that people are terrible? I mean,
They
I know
are terrible.
I know that you want to believe that people are good and
In
given the right
general.
little nudging that they're whatever.
Yeah.
I'm saying you cannot have anything that doesn't get corrupted because of those two things, whether it be convenience or price,
Mhm.
that they will corrupt it and trade all of what should be principles and say, I'm going to do the right thing no matter what. If you can take a group of 100 people, how many of those people will do the right thing, right? Even when it's
Mm.
hard. Very few of them.
I know. And it is. It's like give an inch, they'll take a mile kind of thing. Or this is why we can't have nice things. I wanted to say that to so many people those couple of weeks. And I'm like, this is why we can't have nice things.
Mhm.
They took something that was meant to be helpful for a short period of time, cut some people a break, and all you people just ran with it and just you got greedy. You got greedy with it. You got ridiculous.
And
We do
I'll
it all
take
the
my
time.
my daily blame the secularists because they ruined everything. They really did. I was watching a debate over the weekend about biblical teachings and helping people and making sure everybody had food to eat and all of these things that on its face are what everybody should aspire to, right?
Mhm.
But they were convinced the only way to do that is through government, right? And so biblical teachings were very, very much meant to inspire the individual to do a hard thing to help another person freaking directly, right?
Mhm.
But what we were able to do is we took it away from the church, which would teach it the right way of, flipping the right switches in your brain to have humanity personally. And we outsourced humanity through here's in, the deadly sins always arise in these conversations.
Yeah.
What we did was we took the virtue of wanting someone to eat, and I don't want to be inconvenienced with helping that person, but I want to use a little bit of envy, pick somebody who has more than me and make them pay for the thing, make the sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't even really want to serve the soup myself. I want the government to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've taken all
but
the
I'm
good.
the good person because I'm making the noise about it.
So you want him to pay for it and them to serve it, and you want to sit back and think you're the noble one. And that's what the secularists did, was when they ripped religion out of it, it became all these narcissists who have this fake virtue and feel like they're doing good when they didn't do shit. They have no sweat equity.
Oh, I was thinking about this morning. I saw somebody shared on Facebook this article that I guess the NFL is bringing back spray painting things in the end zone, like words and phrases and whatever. And it's all part of just the social bull crap. And it's not that bothered me. Whatever. You want to spray paint end racism in the end zone of an NFL game? I don't freaking care. But what ticked me off was the person sharing this said, oh, people are upset about this. Why? Because you're triggered about someone spreading kindness. And I'm like, you have no idea what you are even talking about. This fake virtue of, I'm a better person than you because I think we should write end racism in the end zone of a football game. And if you don't like that idea, you hate kindness. And I'm like, listen, dude, I'm pretty sure the majority of the people you know and are surrounded by would agree racism's bad. We all can agree by now racism's bad, and you don't want to be a Nazi, and you don't want to be a bigot, and you don't want to be a judgmental person. You're preaching to the choir, because anybody that is a true, deep down, actual racist is not going to give two shits what you spray paint in the end zone of a football game. You're not reaching them by doing that. You're not ending hate by posting a sign that says end hate. All you're doing is preaching to the choir of people who already know hate is bad, racism is bad. We're all on the same page. But what you're doing is putting that in the face of people so much that we can't even watch a freaking football game. We can't watch a movie. We can't watch a TV show. We can't see a stinking commercial without an agenda constantly in our face about something we've already all gotten on the same page about. So what are you doing actually? You're keeping the victims. You're keeping them in that mindset. And you are being hateful by accusing someone else of not liking kindness because they don't like that one idea. I can go and randomly buy a meal for someone. I can let people cut in front of me in line. I can say all day long how we're all equal and nobody's over everyone and we should spread love and kindness. I can go serve in a church. I can pray for someone. I can do all these things that are kind. And you wouldn't know kindness if it smacked you in the face, because to you, kindness is talking about how someone else is not kind because they don't like your idea of what it should look like.
I can't add to it. That was perfectly put.
Thank you.
Yeah. But this happens enough. This phenomenon happens enough that the people who are doing it think that it's a well-engineered and crafted plan. Like somehow there's justification and they feel good that the thing that, and I think it's most part because we're polarized and they think when they put that out there that it's owning somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody in that stand is a really racist dude and he sees that and it's like a vampire to garlic.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
they're like,
so it's like
curses!
sunlight. Right. And then in the course of things, they're converted because of that spray paint.
Yeah.
And so every game, statistically, there's probably 100 people that went into that game, total racist, came out and they were a race-loving.
Yeah, you just Care Bear spread kindness all over that stadium.
Yeah, so the effectiveness is if you take a pros and cons, what it does versus what it costs. Okay, would you have a net gain, net benefit from having done it? Right? Was it successful? Did it accomplish anything? Did it make anybody feel better? Did it make everybody who was watching better off? Did it diminish the overall product? Did it gaslight people and accuse them of being racist? Did it give these zealots ammunition to then go after everybody? If I'm running the PR, I would say that is not something that I would ever want to do because it adds zero, right?
Yeah,
no hope of doing anything good and creates all this terrible associated with my freaking brand. I don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah. When some people I've talked about this before, I record for a radio station down in Georgia. And when I'm looking for something to say or talk about, and I'm looking online or I'm looking at different sites, I won't talk about anything political or upsetting or anything on that radio platform that is not just fun, uplifting, celebrity knowledge, music related, whatever. Because I'm like, you didn't come to this platform, that station, for all the bullcrap you can hear on the news everywhere else. You came here for an escape, for feel-good music, for feel-good content, to get yourself in through your day a little brighter, a little peppier, because we all get it. We all get it. We're all on the same page with the social issues. We get it. And when it's constantly in your face, you get sick of it, and you're not a jerk for being sick of it. You're a jerk for accusing someone of being a jerk because they're sick of it.
All right, let's talk about the feminine cheerleaders, feminine male cheerleaders.
Oh, I just saw that video this morning.
Yeah. So first off, let's set the stage because I really don't know. What is the function of a cheerleader on a football field?
It's to hype up the fans.
Okay, get the fans going.
Yeah,
Okay.
Get people involved in the game, get them rowdy, get them pumped, cheer on the team, lead people. If the game is getting just kind of quiet, whatever, you start a cheer and you get people engaged again.
Okay. Is there any reason that they're usually very attractive, skimpy, dressed women? Is there a reason for that part?
Probably. It's probably a visually appealing.
You didn't mention that during what cheerleaders are for segment, so I wanted to
mean,
add to that.
You don't have
Well,
to
there's
be
a
that.
there's a theme that it usually is that, right? So it could be part of the function that if there's a bunch of aggressive males in the stands, that could ramp somebody up in a different way.
I feel like there's a pretty big stereotype that for someone to be like, I'm a cheerleader, you almost have a stereotype in your mind of something that's kind of sexy, I guess, in a way. And
so I've been to many NFL games, and the Browns don't have any cheerleaders whatsoever. And the stands are rowdy. Okay. So is it something that's just a traditional addition? Like if the stands are already rowdy, do you really need something like a physical person doing stuff if the crowd's already amped? Is there a point where, the crowd was kind of slow and they were kind of quiet, but the cheerleaders came out and everybody just started going ballistic?
Maybe.
You think so?
I mean, maybe in some instances, but yeah, it's probably traditional, like a mascot. Do you need somebody in a costume of a mascot running around doing funny stuff? Probably not, but is it entertaining?
Well, I would take a mascot over a cheerleader any day because I could see the function in that. You get to see them do something that's entertaining. I don't think there's anything really entertaining about the cheerleading segment. If you've seen one performance, you've seen them all. I'll take you through it. You
could say that about the players in the game.
Now, when they do like a gymnast routine where they do something like they're doing flips and
stuff,
lift is not so much gymnast. It's like big guy picks them up and they do something at a higher elevation. I mean, you could do stairs and do that same thing. So it's not as impressive. But if you're doing like flips and tumbles and things that you would see at the circus, I can say like that's entertainment. But usually it's like pom-pom, shake ass, kind of thing.
I just thought of, you ever see the movie The Replacements with Keanu Reeves?
Yes.
Where they replace their cheerleaders with strippers?
Yes. Better. Way better.
And they were distraction.
If you cater to that element, the eye candy element of it, then a stripper would do a much better job than a gymnast. If you pull 100 people in the stands, what would you rather see? Tumbles or pole dances, and see what you get. And if the crowd wants it and it's going to get them amped up, go with the pole dances. But anyway, back to the original point, the very feminine males who are doing that. Now, do you think this is an appropriate addition to open it up to feminine males that aren't, usually the bigger guys that were capable of lifting the tiny girls? Not that, just a small feminine male who is prancing the same routine that the women are. How do you feel about it?
Honestly, I don't mind very much. I watched the video this morning. Was it like Minnesota Vikings or somebody? Cheerleaders took the field, did a dance, and there was a boy doing the same dance, the same way. And I was like, he can dance. He's doing it properly. He didn't feel out of place to me. Yes, it was obvious. You're a male and all of them are female. You're being feminine. Yes, I get that. That was very obvious. But again, he did it correctly. He did a good job. He did what they were doing and he was able to do what they do. And I didn't mind it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always worry that having really hot cheerleaders there are a distraction to some players where they're supposed to be focused on the game, and you have this stuff happening around that might take their eye and get them all kind of trouble. And I don't necessarily think they're best decision makers in the NFL. So that's probably good that they have none. Like the Browns have probably been saved from tons of chaos because they don't have any. But maybe if you have all gay cheerleaders, that might be a plus, because then these super aggressive males, where very nearly zero of them have or any homosexuals there, won't be as
I mean, you can appeal to maybe homosexuals in the stands that didn't care
There you
about
go.
female cheerleaders,
Right.
but they're like, ooh, look at that cutie.
so it actually might be a little bit better. It might be a little bit better. Now,
It might be.
or there might be more NFL players that are homosexual that might be equally as distracting as the females would be to the heterosexuals.
Well, and I think too that it's people maybe this is our opportunity to stop making everything so sexualized and try to get back to what it was meant for. You know,
Listen, we were just talking about genies out of the bottle.
I know.
And not using the self-checkouts, all right? You're pushing up against something that is long far gone, right? Own this over-sexualization of everything. It's just what is now. You don't go back to Puritan lifestyle.
But there is, I have seen women play football.
Mhm.
So why can a man cheer?
Oh, they totally can.
Yeah. Julie says, unless it's Sydney Sweeney cheering, huh, Joe?
Yes, she's an attractive person, but she doesn't get me going. Like, it's not somebody who I would pick.
Yeah.
So if she was on there, I would probably notice, but it wouldn't be distracting for me.
Jerry says colleges have had male cheerleaders for decades. And yeah, and I think the only reason it's different now is a male cheerleader, like you said, it was just like the base for the stunts, basically. You needed a person who was strong enough to lift up other people and catch them, and you needed like a physical presence there. And the fact that they were a male, they still weren't flamboyant. And now we're talking about cheerleaders that are not the strong male. In fact, the kid in the video is quite thin. There's like, he's not lifting anyone up. In fact, maybe he's the one being lifted up. Very sort of that feminine nature to him. So that's why it's come back around, I think, is it's not just that there's a male cheerleader, but it's a different kind of male cheerleader.
Yeah, and I don't mind. It does not take anything away from the game. I'm not even looking at that part of the field. I'm paying attention to what's there. I'm a purist when it comes to the actual game. So those aren't there. They are not there for me. The players doing stuff on the field is why I cheer. It's not like the rah-rah gets suggested to me and I'm like, oh, I feel like rah-rahing all of a sudden. It's just not,
You're like,
doesn't
yeah.
happen. So if they want to push on some norms, that's the only annoying part, is that you're allowed to experiment and test and push on social norms if it, at the end of the day, it was to make something better, to include somebody in, give them a chance. Maybe they're better at it. Maybe that was their whole dream and goal as a kid. Great. That's awesome. Doesn't take anything away from me. So oh, all right. Sorry.
And I'd rather see a social issue play out in front of me by inserting a person that is demonstrating it than you spray paint it on the end zone.
Right. And honestly, if it weren't even made a big deal, if nobody reported on it and it just happened,
yeah,
like nobody would have cared. Right.
Yeah,
they really wouldn't have.
I knew someone. What's interesting too is this male cheerleader still had a male uniform on, shorts and a shirt. I know somebody whose son was a male cheerleader in a skirt and a women's uniform with makeup. And how do you feel about that? Where it's like, that's a boy, but he's dressing like a girl.
When it comes to this stuff, I think anybody is free to express themselves however they want.
Yep.
You cannot force other people to feel a certain way. So me, I don't care. And there's some people that do care. And so when you do that, it's the face tattoo syndrome. You ever heard me say that before? So it's when someone gets a face tattoo and then you notice it.
Oh yeah.
And then they get all offended that you notice
staring
it.
at my tattoo.
So where you put it was meant to have people notice, which you had to feel through that when you got the tattoo, that some people were going to notice it and be like, oh, that's really cool. And some people are going to see it and say, oh, that's terrible and that's awful and looks awful, right? You got to be cool with that at the beginning, or else you put it on your arm like I did, where what do you feel about my tattoo? You don't have an opinion on it. Why? Because it's under my freaking shirt and it's for me.
Oh, I thought of this in the airport last weekend when I was traveling. And I saw it at least once, if not twice, in one weekend. Women that will enter public, like the public space of an entire freaking airport and airplane, with a very skimpy, short shirt on, no bra, and clear visible nipple piercings. And I'm just like, how many people are like, what the? And are staring at this region. And I'm just like, oh, I'm begging one of these girls to say something. I'm begging someone to be like, what are you looking at? Your entire display that you clearly wanted.
Yes.
You clearly want, you even decorated it, you know, you shoved a piece of metal through it, then put no covering on top, and you walked around displaying it. And I'm just like, I'm not prude. I don't care. If you're comfortable dressing that way, I don't get it because I think it's freezing on airplanes and I think you're going to be cold. But if that's what you're comfortable in, that's what you're comfortable in. But don't give anyone shit that is looking because you just painted a billboard on yourself.
Yeah. I mean, freedom of expression. You're free to do whatever you want means that you are inviting both other people's freedom of expressing themselves at you as well. And all these narcissists want to do things and not be judged on the negative side. They only want to be affirmed, right? And that's what you get. Like if I say something stupid in front of this microphone, right? When I say it, I already know that the people who disagree with something I'm saying are free to share it with me. And before I say the thing, I have to know that that is the cost of having that freedom.
MLO bros. They were saying cheerleaders are in no way distracting and colleges have had male athletes forever. There is a difference between the ones in the NFL then and now. If there are cheerleaders, if there aren't, the game doesn't change. They are the games due to tradition. Now the cheer competitions and whatnot for high school and middle school is impressive because it's more like gymnastics.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree.
Could you guys see Isaac Schuster's nipple rings during the softball game?
I could not.
Oh, that's what that was. I'm just kidding. No, but I'm glad that you caught his hit.
Yeah.
That was for the flag line comment.
Got him. That was for you, Kellen.
Thank you.
All right. A couple things happening today on the international stage. We have Sniffy McUkraine coming in for a little negotiation session with the Trump administration. I call him Sniffy because
I was like, Sniffy?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, he has a habit when he gets nervous and when he's in the public to be able to, he sniffs, he pushes on his nostrils and he sniffs a lot.
Oh, he does do that.
Yeah.
You think that's a nervous habit?
I think he does a lot of cocaine.
I was going to say, usually that's a sign of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ukraine is not known for its pristine, behaviors. And so it's lots of corruption there, lots of drugs, lots of money. It's not your best sample for.
It's not an innocent country led by an innocent person that
is not.
We should just help because we're cruel if we don't.
Yeah. So here, let's set the stage here. So Trump met with Putin on Friday, and the libs just lost their mind over this. And I kind of look at it from two perspectives. You got the pragmatic perspective about you're in a position, right? And you got to engineer your way out of it, just accepting everything that is right now. And then you have sort of like the emotional appeal portion of it. Russia invaded Ukraine and killed a ton of no good guy in this. Okay. I want to be clear that there is no good guy. And so if you're a Democrat, you're going to basically critique Trump no matter what he does. So if he would have admonished Putin, they would have had criticism. If he welcomed him, it would have been, but the deal is, or the focus is getting a deal done, right? That gives you the highest probability that war stops, right? So could you ignore what's happened prior to today's snapshot and not consider it? So you take two things. Either we say, all right, Putin's a jackhole. Let's just go all in and go to war with Russia and get all the territory of Ukraine back. Are we willing to do that? Is that something that is in the cards, right? Or do we just give Ukraine money and have a 20-year war that they just barely, compete in, and we just waste a lot of money and tons of people died? Or do we say, give Ukraine or give Russia part of Ukraine that they've already conquered up to this point, and let's get peace to happen. No perfect outcomes there. We don't want to go to war. We don't want people to die, and we don't want to cede land that was taken through military force. So what's your best option taking those three things into consideration?
Yeah, they all suck.
They do.
I would want whatever stops killing, whatever stops it, whatever doesn't continue to.
So, but if you have a bad actor, you have North Korea, you have a China, and they, in their mission statement says, it hasn't ended for us. We want to dominate the world. We want to take over every country, and we're going to use our military force to do it. So if China takes Taiwan, right, what's our response to that going to be? Because China has, pledged they're going to take Taiwan. What are we willing to do there? Are we willing to fight China in defense of Taiwan? Are we going to make a deal before it happens so that it doesn't happen? Because that would be the smartest thing.
Yeah, preferably.
100%. So anyway, more thoughts on what we should do with Ukraine. What would you do if you held the scepter?
Oh, God, that's why I don't hold the scepter, because I don't know. The biggest thing to me is I don't understand such pushback to even talk to Putin. I don't understand that. I feel like if there is, even if they are the aggressor, even if they are more in the wrong, I guess, if that's a thing.
Well, let me pause you, bro. Do you think you're informed enough, or any of us are informed enough to even pick who's right and who's wrong in this?
Probably not. I mean, I've said it before, and it might sound crazy that while I don't agree with what Putin does, I can get it. Like, I get it. I same with Ukraine. Like, I get why they would maybe feel the way they feel in certain instances. I probably don't have all the details. I'm not in the meeting rooms. I'm not in the briefing rooms.
Well, Russia says that Ukraine is a Nazi-like. Like, they have Nazi ideals, Western ideals. And the reason that they're conquering is because, first of all, the land is butted right up against the main part of Russia. And in fact, it was part of Russia at one time. And so they're reclaiming it for Russia against what they consider a Nazi regime. So if you use the same terminology that the Democrats, wouldn't you be justified if the Ukrainians and the Ukrainian administration was a bunch of Nazis? That would you be more on Russia's side if they're conquering Nazism?
Yeah, I would think.
If you believe that they were, if they were truly Nazis.
If you believe that, if you believe this is going to be a hateful group of Nazis and they're going to act that way and they're going to cause destruction, and what are we going to do? Just let it happen?
And then
you believed that.
Okay, so we slid on that side. Maybe you have some of it that says, hey, I'm kind of agreeing with Russia that at least they have some logic behind that. But what about on Russia's side? They murder people like regularly that disagree with them, right? They have a president that's installed there and kills any opposition that try to run against him. Not exactly a noble leadership, right?
No.
So really, if you're trying to put it in its categories, both are terrible. They're not westernized. They're not playing from the same rule book as we are. So you have to treat them as in you got two misbehaving entities, and all we want, our interests are war is bad and people dying is bad, and whatever gets you to it not being war and not being not killing anymore, then you can get to the point where you can influence future behaviors after there's no war. There's nothing even really talk about. It's not like, hey, Putin, and he's not best friends with Trump. I know, like they like to say that they've got this, secret
broship.
Yeah, secret broship. It's not that at all. No. He's being sized up as a leader that has considerable amount of power, considerable amount of means that he can even be a bigger pain in the ass than he actually is. So how do you get this done? If you're Trump, here's Joe's solution. If I had this freaking scepter, I would have ended it on day one. It would have never even happened. That was Trump. It was
yeah.
bad.
You got to read Julie's comment when you're done with that if you want.
Okay. So here's the deal. that part of the world, if you're non-Westernized, it's all about money and it's all about power, right? Flying the B-2 bombers with the F-22s over top of Putin's head, orchestrated as a big flex of like a middle finger. Look at our power, look at our strength. Everything was theater to show Putin that we got our shit together and we are not somebody that you want to mess with. Once you get the don't mess with us thing, now we're ready to talk. We're not an adversary. We're going to bring you in the conversation and whatever. I'm talking to Putin first and foremost about trade. And, he was sanctioned. Europe kind of keeps him on a really short leash, but I think a lot of that area does a lot of, posturing for war because everybody makes a lot of money when there's war. Peace doesn't pay quite as well as war does. And so I would go into being a partner, an economic partner, and all of my considerations would be, you have to behave.
Mm-hmm.
We will make you a ton of money, and it's all going to be predicated on your behaviors and how you treat your neighbors. Cut Europe out of the equation and do direct United States with Russia commerce. We're neighbors with them. A lot of energy interests between the two of us. We could accomplish a lot of the same stuff. Once I get them in that vein, a large portion of Ukraine is their resources, and that's why Russia wants them so bad. If we can take the resources that they're after and make them legitimate trades, right, where they have access to those same resources and they have a net benefit, maybe their gaze at taking over other people's when they're being satisfied over here, they're not doing great economically. They haven't since we put the screws to them after even after Cold War from the 70s, 80s, 90s. They were hurting ever since Afghanistan and the Cold War with the United States. And so they were at a disadvantage. They need economic support. But because they're so brutal and so poor, that's where we start having any influence. Economic influence is way better with them than military, because they're almost like, the kamikazes. You think how the Japanese got it in their head that they were going to sacrifice their people for the good of the war, and thinking like, I would never do that. Like, there's no way that somebody would say, hey, you're going to get in this plane and you're going to end yourself for the cause, right?
Yeah.
Well, in a brutal country like Russia, they're willing to sacrifice anybody for the one mission statement that they, overtly put out to the world what they're going to do. All our objective is to short circuit what will naturally happen, drawn out of they got a long attention span. They can take 100 years to accomplish this. Many, many different presidential administrations are going to have to deal with what Russia becomes. So I want to make sure I'm on the top side, not friends, not allies, because I don't think they could ever be friends and allies with us because of the way that they run things, but try to do some influence there.
Make it more neutral and business minded than emotion.
Right.
And
because right now it's, I'm going to lob 2 grenades at you and you lob 2 grenades at me. And that's been our relationship. We try to, keep you under control by the threat of military force. And if Russia doesn't care about losing people or having infrastructure blown up, it makes them stronger, right?
Yeah.
It makes us more evil. Then the grenade thing hasn't worked and isn't going to work.
Well, and that was going to kind of be my idea. Is there a way we can sort of put the squeeze on them financially in a business sense of like, oh, if we continue doing this, we're going to kind of be cut out from.
Well, we did that. And what they did was they created allies with our enemies. North Korea, China, Russia. Everybody that hates us is all on the same team. So it's like, okay, put some sanctions on us for oil, and guess where we're going? We're going to China, and they like us. So it's way more complicated than I think previous administrations gave it credit for, and it festered and it got bad. So we got to deal with the cards that are in front of us and keep emotion out of it. Yes, he's a bad guy that we wish we didn't have to deal with, but dealing with him in this way maybe gives you a chance at people not dying and there not being wars, and then we can do future things. But the other way is like, keep doing what we're doing. Okay, see you in 20 years when this is still going on.
Yeah. It almost feels like feds coming in a hostage situation, like send in the negotiator. Do you just send in and blast things away? Or do you say, wait a minute, let's talk. But then the Dems are like, oh, you don't talk to him. And it's like, what's the alternative? Everybody dies.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't get that.
But today should be interesting because it's going to be European leaders and Ukraine are coming to Washington, D.C. And Europe has a huge interest in keeping this war thing going. And I think both Zelensky is unwilling to cede any territory. So I don't think that he's going to be going along with this whole peace agreement or ceasefire or anything.
Mhm.
And European leaders are not going to be friendly with getting this thing done. So it's basically going to be Trump and Putin that want to end this thing, asking a huge ask from that part of the world. And you have
Yeah.
everybody that's showing up today that's going to have a million reasons why they don't want peace to happen. So it'll be interesting.
Julie says, Trump is the guy that said he'd end this war in one day. Trump is the guy that said he'd get a ceasefire. Trump is the guy that said this war would never have happened if he was president. Trump is the guy that rolled out the red carpet for a murderous dictator and threw Zelensky out of the White House. Trump is way over his skis. If Russia's plan is simply empire building, you cannot deal with that. My solution is to get the F out of Ukraine. We got the Ukraine to give up their nukes, so we owe them our help.
And that's part, and Julie's right on almost all of that. And the inclusion in NATO, right, was a deal breaker as far as Russia was concerned. But if you can get European nations to pledge protection and support without formal, induction into NATO, that's part of the concessions that are part of this Trump negotiation. So it's going to be economic, it's going to be security and defense, and that's why it's a very complicated thing. I'm thank goodness that this feels that it's way less political and more based on the objective for it. There's going to be people that they're going to be dragged through the mud on this. This is not going to be an easy one. So if politician Trump said that he was going to get on day one, he was delusional that he can get this on day one. That's not giving due credit to how complicated.
I mean,
this
I
is.
see both sides where, yes, for Trump to be like, oh, I'm going to snap my fingers and end this right now was a little grandiose, I guess, a little arrogant. But at the same time, when people say, well, you said you were going to do this. You said you were going to end this. You said you were going to, it's like, oh, so you wanted him to, but gave him shit for even attempting to negotiate. Gave him shit for even inviting Putin here or having a meeting with him or talking. Everybody was like, no, don't talk to him. Don't have him anywhere near us. Just end it. Like by magic?
Mm-hmm.
You can't say you're supposed to end this like you said you did, but I don't want you doing it that way, and I don't want you talking to him.
Yeah,
it's like,
and it's weird. We watch too many movies, and I think too many regular normies have an opinion on this. In their utopian world, there's always the bad guy, and they're absolutely bad, and there's always a good guy, and that's the one that we support and we cheer for.
yeah.
Right? In this, everybody's a bad guy, so it's a little bit harder to say, okay, well, you got a leader that is going to conquer their neighbors. They said they were going to do it. How do you treat them? Do you treat them so you want to get something done? Or do you want to take your dick out on the table and slam it down and say, don't do that or we'll F you up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody's got the stamina to go against Russia because what they're willing to do, they are a freaking superpower who are capable of gut punching us a bunch. We do not want to be in that war. I assure you.
Would you say they're the ones that 100% are emotionally out of this? Like it is all logic. It is all
100%.
What is
they will nuke you and they have said that they are willing to go. And I do not doubt the fact, the length that they're willing to go to get that territory back. They've been there before. They are hardcore fighters. And so how do you treat them? Is it theater where you, serve some ego and give some compliments and roll out a respectful red carpet as a psychological operation? The normies aren't going to like it because how dare you take a murderous dictator that kills people and give them good treatment, opposed to what? Right? Not inviting them to the United States, not talking to them, and nothing gets done. I mean, that there's no good 100% option here.
It kind of reminds me of the idea of war rules. Or like how there's like rules to war and when we're in a war, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I'm like, do you honestly think there are rules to war, like that we're not going to take someone out or someone else won't just cross some line they're not supposed to cross, or I don't know. I think some people have like a bit of a delusion maybe of how they're delulu.
Yeah, they have some delulu
Of how
going
it
on here.
works. And I don't know. It's complicated.
But I really want to tell most people who are watching this, I assure you that we don't know enough to even have opinion. I think I have such a superficial understanding of what's happening. I do have to trust that there are smarter people than me that have good motivation, or sort of they're inspired for the right things to end this. And I have to lend a little bit of my faith and trust. But those of you who are listening that do not have faith in this administration, you need to be the bulldogs to keep it honest and don't put up with any stuff. But I want you to be, I will continue to take you serious as long as you don't go delusional and insist good things are bad and bad things are good. Okay. I would be objective and say, call a spade a spade. Do you think that pursuing peace is good? Yes, no. If it's pursuing peace, then it's good. That's our hero here. Do you think the interests of the United States should be put ahead of all other nations? That is a good. The villain is when our interests are not put ahead. So I want a president acting on the interests of the United States and have a solemn pledge to end wars and, stop people from being killed.
Julie says there should have been a meeting in neutral territory with both parties.
Thank you, sir.
What would be there was not a meeting on a neutral territory?
They've had like 30 meetings up to this point that have been unfruitful. And
like what other territory?
Okay, so Europe is really good about taking territories that aren't part of the conversation and having talks there, right? And Europe has done a pretty good job of keeping Russia quiet, sort of, for a lot of years, and they've got a lot of economic ties that and whatnot. But I think they are too bought into the war side of what's happening. I think just as time goes on, you don't really have a neutral player because it's in the interest of Europe to keep this stuff going. There's no downside for them, and they get to be the go-between between negotiations of Russia and whoever they're warring with. And that's a power position. If Europe's that important in the conversations, they have a lot to benefit by keeping those conversations happening. But if you cut them out, if you cut Europe out of the equation and do unilateral talks directly with Russia, I think it gets more effective because you keep all of those interests out of the conversation and you have a chance at something for happening. If we don't have to pay homage to a country that's supplying arms or doing anyway, being in the crux of the conversation.
Well, are we not considered neutral because we supplied things to Ukraine?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you could make the argument that if we are giving them stuff, that we have picked a side and we're proxy fighting Russia.
Yeah.
And Europe would be the same thing. You'd really have to take a country that was interested in principle, but not economically interested, doesn't share a border with them, someone who's just a third party that can be reasonable and facilitate some kind of negotiation. And I don't even know what country that would be.
I would imagine that would be getting harder and harder to find.
Yeah.
In the world.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
Yeah.
But
in a totally corrupted world where everybody is doing bad things. I got this question. It has nothing to do with Russia, but sort of. So every country was formulated by conquest. There was a territory, somebody else owned it. We go defeat them and
take it over.
And we take it over and it becomes ours. And it allowed, weaker countries to be dominated by stronger companies and the consolidation of their power, whatever. When did we really decide that the world was spoken for and no more conquest is allowed to happen? I mean, it's in the interest of people who live in countries. They don't want them to be taken over and, repopulated with a different whatever. But there's got to be a point where we said, all that's been written has been written. Let's manage what we have. Or is it still open? Like if you went back into the 1400s and there was a territory, I mean, why can't that be today where we can take this country's not doing really well. They're poor. They're mismanaged. There's nothing but crime. United States is going to go there and take over the country, and that's just going to become the part of the United States.
Because it used to just be what was done, and now it's sort of like, what a jerk.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're starting a war. You're now
to take over territory when that is the history of
Yeah.
human beings, is conquering villages.
I feel like as we evolved into having greater abilities to work together, to trade, to transport things, it's one thing if you're a country who has an incredibly valuable and needed resource, and my country does not, and we're really struggling without it. We're going to take it from you. You're now our country. But we now have the ability to work something out where, all right, well, let's make a deal and we'll give you some. Maybe give us some of that. It's like we became more humane and more open to the idea of, listen, we don't all got to take each other over and kill people and be dramatic here. We can trade and we can ship things around the world now. So let's work together. It just made more sense.
There are better ways to accumulating territory than just conquering people, like Alaska.
Or getting what you wanted.
Was there a battle fought over Alaska?
I don't know. Was there?
No, it was purchased from Russia. So there's ways to accumulate territory. When you do a fair trade with somebody, they want something, you have something, and you do a deal and you get something done. So war, like what if Russia offered money to buy portions of Ukraine, right? Or something. Doesn't have to be money. It could be whatever they're in need of. What if Russia said, we'll protect you? You will become in the umbrella of Russia. You will be your own sovereign country, but you are now under the protections of Russia. I mean, make that agreement, you shake on it and whatnot.
Well, and that would be in the case that we believe Russia's taking them over because there's something of value there. But you're saying Russia's claiming they're terrible, horrible people. Because that, I think, is still real, is the idea of we need to stop you because you're dangerous.
I see this all the time, and this is just human nature. So you own property, right? Mm-hmm. Have you ever had a property line disagreement with any of your neighbors?
No, but I could see how one would come up.
I had huge amounts of property growing up, right? More land than anybody that was ever settled on it. We never used it all and never played on it all and never gardened on it all, right? Big. But if you saw somebody in your territory, right, and they were pretending it was theirs, that would make you a little bit mad because you got defensive over an acknowledgement of what's yours and what's mine, right? I even a couple weekends ago had a neighbor come up to me and tell me that the thing that I was doing was close to their property. So they were annoyed that something was getting close to their property, not even on their property.
Just too close for
because
comfort.
People are very territorial when it comes to what is theirs. Okay, so property disputes if you want to go as primitive as you can get, if you want a war, do a property dispute, and that gets you to war super fast, even in neighborhoods. Okay, so if you have to take it with that angle, that when it comes to invisible territories, a territory is what you are capable of defending against. That's what conquest is all about. If you have too much and you can't defend it, like if you have something way in the back of your yard and you can't cut it, and the neighbor starts cutting it, right? It becomes their property because you couldn't defend it, upkeep it, whatever. They take possession of something you once owned, and they don't have to give you shit, right?
Yeah.
So if Ukraine can't defend itself, right? If can't do that territory and protect it, then in the rules of conquest, it becomes Russia's. We don't want to do that. We want it to be,
more civilized.
Exactly. I don't like you being close to my property, so I want to make you an offer of $10,000 to buy the sliver that makes me uncomfortable. Here's a $10,000. You have that property. I'll put 2 little flags up, and now it's your property. I would do that in 2 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, if I have a neighbor that's not taking care of their yard and it's overgrown and there's weeds everywhere and it's bringing critters, like, I can't make you do anything. It's yours. I can't come onto your property and do something about it. It's yours. I can't. Sorry. But can I be like, hey, we need to work something out here. You're clearly not going to do anything with that. I will. So let's just work this out.
But we know where that impasse leads. If there's a dispute over something somebody wants and something that somebody has, right? That is an impasse that does not end well throughout all of history.
Yeah.
So coming up with a conclusion, I don't like saying the words that Ukraine should give up some of their territory that's already been conquered and call it a day and get to peace, right? Because the justice part of it is that no, you kick Russia in the shin, say go back to your place, and set up a
Yeah.
nice big fence and say no, this is Ukraine, and we're willing to go to the ends of the earth to defend this part that you took.
Especially too, if it almost then sends the message that you can do that. You want something, you take it by force, you kill a bunch of people, it's yours now. We don't want to encourage that.
Right.
Yeah, how do you
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is above, my pay grade to even consider, because I could be absolutely wrong. And we should have, never invited Putin in and never held a conversation, put thick sanctions on, and armed Ukraine to the teeth and fought back against that. That could have been it. But I'm not a pacifist, but I don't like zero benefit war. It's not for a noble cause. This is a dispute that, Crimea was a couple years before Ukraine. Similar circumstances. Russia went over, took over a territory, and we didn't send Crimea any missiles to defend their territory. So they have a clear history of wanting to expand back into the territories that once was held by Russia. So very complicated.
Carter says, if I was Trump, I'd give away California and New York for peace. Peace by Russia and Ukraine for, I don't know what that BT is.
So Carter, are you just trying to troll Julie? Is that what you're doing? Giving away California and New York?
Give them California and New York. God, what would that look like? If Russia, is he saying he'd give Russia, California, and New York?
Yeah.
How do you think that would work out?
Well, I mean, we got a neighbor up north. We got Alaska that's attached to Canada. It makes no connection with the United States. So you can have little remote territories where you set up shop. It wouldn't be, I don't trust Russia a whole lot to not, arm nuclear missiles at us because they're right on our, but anyway, yeah, they would not be a good neighbor, but Carter was just trolling Julie, I'm sure of it.
He wouldn't do that. Just kidding.
What else? I took us deep and wide.
Oh, what else? Let's see. I've already complained about spray painting in zones.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked about male cheerleaders. Oh, between. He says for peace between Russia and Ukraine. I hear you. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you kind of talked about it where you were saying it was above our pay grade understanding these things. That's my biggest pet peeve is when people, and by people, I mean like the average everyday keyboard warrior on Facebook thinks they know more, thinks they're like, oh, they're so stupid. They being whoever's in our president or whoever is in power at the time, they know more than them. And it can be government. It could be war. I'm seeing it even with religion with people. Oh, I know more. I know more than them. I know more than the scholars. I know more than the historians. I know more than the people who study this. I know more than the people who are in the meeting rooms. I know more than everybody. I watch the news and I think I know something. To me, like everybody needs to humble themselves and be like, you don't know. You're not even close to being on the same level of understanding as a lot of other people. But we all sort of get this like arrogant mindset sometimes that like we know what's best and these idiots don't. And, like, what were they saying? Even Elon Musk doesn't know what he's doing and can't do simple math and procedures and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, wow. And you can, right? Like, and you're smarter than him. Like, that drives me insane.
All right. DC. Mm-hmm. There was, and I want to talk about the California, Texas,
gerrymandering.
Yeah. The war going on between Gavin Newsom, because he is off the chain. I don't know if you read some of this stuff, but
not lately.
So he's trolling Trump. Okay. He's going to social media and he is speaking like Trump does, all capital letters, using the same kind of euphemisms. Like he's trolling him big time just to get under his skin. Cause that's, one of Trump's major weaknesses is his ego,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And when you say nice things to him, you get nice things from him. And if you criticize him, you get thrown into the chipper shredder. And so that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to unnerve Trump by being very social or very publicly mean to him.
Yeah.
And we'll see if he can defend against it. I don't think he can. I think he's going to make him erratic. I think it's going to be a totally
Yeah.
successful strategy.
Somebody said one time, we could end all the guessing right now of whether or not Trump was involved with Epstein and Epstein Island. All you have to do is put out a public statement that was like, you know what? I know Trump was never there. He's not involved with this because he's not rich enough. He's not powerful enough.
He wouldn't have even been invited.
Yeah, he would have never been invited to socialize with wealth and power of that magnitude. You're just not there.
Yeah, you got to run
And he
that
would have been
psyop.
like, yes, I was. I show you, I was there now. I'm powerful and rich enough. And then we'd be like, okay, thanks for your confession.
Exactly.
Like, why hasn't anybody tried that?
Yeah.
Just insult him in that way. And he'll be like, that's not, yes, I did. I was there all the time. Oh, okay.
Might work. It might just work.
See, and it's interesting though, is like, I've heard both though. I do think Trump has a big ego, and I think that's a good way to get to him. I've also heard a lot of people say that when they've been around him personally, he's actually quite a bit more, I guess, subdued and like not that they say that's sort of his public persona. He does that as a way to get certain things or get by or whatever, but they're like the real him is actually not quite that. I wonder. I don't know. I talked to somebody one time who met him when I was down south, and I was living down south years ago. A tornado ripped through part of Alabama that was close to where we were living, and it was real devastating. And Trump came to this town, and I didn't get to meet him, but a lot of people in the town did. And I was actually talking to the mayor at the time. And at the time I was still in my, I hate Trump. He's an a-hole. Don't like him at all state of mind. And he was like, I have to tell you, he was the nicest, most considerate, caring person. And I said, no, he's not. And he's like, I'm telling you, he was so respectful. He was so gracious. He was so kind and warm and you know, all these things to these people in this town. And I'm just like, are we talking about the same Donald Trump here? And I like could not believe my eyes. And then more and more I'm hearing people say that anytime they have actually been in a situation where they were personally around him, they're like, that's TV. That's theatrics. That's not him. And I'm like, I've always wondered. I wonder.
And it's usually the opposite, where the public facing is the endearing and polite and kind and whatever, but privately when you meet them, you're like, oh, that you ruined it for me.
Entitled a-holes. Yeah. Oh, Jerry says, or Carr says, what billionaires and presidents don't have big egos? Jerry says, how about the topic of gun owners and not understanding that guns kill and
lackadaisical
ways people leave them loaded and unloaded and don't respect the fact that harm, fatality they can cause. I wonder if he's talking about Struthers.
Yeah, for sure.
Why would anyone want that public persona?
All right. So to address Jerry here, and just like any freaking tool, right? Especially in your own home, you own anything that's dangerous and you got to look out for your kids. And having a loaded gun where a toddler could find it and shoot themselves is unforgivable.
God, that tore me up. When that news broke, oh my God. And somebody was reading it to me like as it was kind of unfolding. And they said, like a news source said that I guess when it happened in the home, the parents attempted to drive the toddler to the hospital and ended up stopping in a parking lot so emergency vehicles could come. And somebody reported they could hear the dad crying in the car, and like, oh my God, the visual of it all in my head. I was like, oh God, I had a whole other talk with my kids again this weekend about you don't ever mess around with that stuff. If you're ever at a friend's house and they're like, let me show you, look what I got. Look at, my dad used to say, you get space between you and them immediately. immediately. I told my kids, I said, I don't care if you have to leave and walk down the street. You call me, you go somewhere else, you physically remove yourself from that environment any way you can, even if you have nowhere else to go. Get gone immediately. Oh my God, it's so heartbreaking. Have you ever been in a situation like that?
Where somebody was wielding a gun that shouldn't have been?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Growing up, heck yeah.
Did
nobody had accidents.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Did you leave or?
No.
Really?
No.
You're lucky.
We knew enough about guns because we shot guns that I don't think anybody was oblivious to how the things operated. And we were in our, 10, 11, 12-year-old.
But still, I know somebody. I just found this out last year. I know a person, a grown man, military person, trained with guns of all kinds, has owned one, has operated them, has worked with them for most of their adult life, was cleaning it and accidentally shot himself in the hand.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God he was okay. But that person trained their entire adult life with these weapons, was very knowledgeable on them, and still had an accident.
Yeah, well, like Jerry said, when it comes to firearms, there are particular things you have to do that are non-negotiables, right? So I'm thinking when I hear somebody's cleaning a gun and there's a bullet in the chamber, then there's a step that we're all taught when we touch a gun for the first time, what you do. Well, obviously, if he would have done that, which is cocked the gun, it would have taken that round that had not been fired and it would have evacuated it from the chamber. So obviously, rule number 3, right, wasn't followed. And there are enough good wisdoms that come along with gun ownership. And if you follow them to a T, write them down if you have to, how you treat it, how you tell your family about it, where you store it. All of that is part of the responsibility of having it.
But I think part of the responsibility of having it is you don't take it out unnecessarily. To show it off is not necessary to me. Maybe in some situations they're gun owners and there are people that are into it.
The danger isn't in showing it off. It's treating it the right way. So if you have a gun and you have a bullet in the chamber, right? What that says is I'm ready to shoot. So you ask yourself, are you ready to shoot? And if the answer is no, like if I was showing you a gun, you know what wouldn't be in the chamber? A bullet. Because I'm not ready to shoot. I didn't show it to you so you could be shot. So before it leaves my hand, I make sure that there is not a bullet in the chamber and there's no clip in the gun. And then what is the percentage chance that you get shot if there's no bullet in the chamber and no clip in the gun? What's the chance? Probability?
Pretty low.
Really low, unless a spirit or a
bird, a robot bird.
A robot bird delivers a shell into the very hard to get shot if there's no bullet in the chamber and no clip in the gun, right? And so waving the gun around even, that's empty. There's no danger in anybody getting shot. So long that the person that owns the gun is kept responsible with what they do before they show it off. So you're seeing showing off is not a dangerous thing. I could show off my blood thermos.
Oh God!
Right?
Your blood all over your cup.
What are the chances? What are the chances you get injured by my thermos? Right? Showing it off is not a dangerous thing. It's not irresponsible to show off your guns.
I think it can be. If you're a responsible person doing it in a responsible way, fine. If you're an irresponsible person doing it in an irresponsible way, it's irresponsible.
What's irresponsible? Give me the irresponsible part.
You're someone that does not live by the rules of you don't ever handle it without checking the chamber. You don't ever make sure it's empty before you hand it to someone. You don't ever say, am I ready to shoot?
I agreed with you. That the responsibilities have nothing to do with showing up. Like if you own a car and you follow all the rules, you do the proper maintenance on it, and you take it for a joyride. Is that irresponsible? Is joyrides that don't have a purpose for it? Is that something that's being an irresponsible person, or is that enjoying something that you take a lot of pride in?
You can have both.
What? Showing off?
Yeah.
Responsible showing off, responsible joyrides?
Yeah.
100%. But you notice it was the noun didn't matter. Right?
Yeah.
Both can be done responsibly.
There was one time, I was probably in college. at someone's house, and I don't even know why. I don't know why it came up, but this person took out their handgun to show me, and I went. I immediately left. I was like, "This is what my parents have been training me for my whole life." They're like, "What are you doing?" Put my shoes. I'm out. I'm out. And they're like, "No, no, no, I'm just." And I said, "You put it away, or I'm out." Like middle of the night. Don't care. Don't know this neighborhood. Shoes are going on my feet as we're talking. I am out. I will not stay here if you don't put it away right now. Because I'm just like,
it's a perfect expression.
Oh, yeah. That's what I teach my kids. You just get away. Same with vehicles, cars. I was always told, you don't ever ride with someone who's screwing around. And especially teenagers. They're going to screw around.
Right.
And I was in a car with a group of friends. We're all teenagers. And they're being ridiculous and they're not being safe. And I was like, pull over now. I'm out right now. Where? You're going to walk here? Yep. I'll take my chances. I want out. Yeah. And then they said, all right, we'll stop.
Do you think there's a point in time where people in general are too stupid and have a lack of disciplines and responsibilities that gun ownership will not be possible because the populace are just too dumb to be responsible with them?
You're saying, can we get to that point?
Or do you think we're going to that point? I mean, we'll use cars. Let's take guns out of it. Do you think that we will be too dumb one day to let people drive heavy cars around?
Yes. Yes. The fact that in this day and age, we are still trying to get people to stop driving distracted is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And it's only getting worse. Like it used to be, don't talk on the phone. Then it was like, don't touch your phone. Don't go on social media while you're driving. Like it's not even a phone call anymore. It's texting. It's watching videos. It's making videos. It's interacting with people. It's like all kinds of things you do on your phone now. All kinds of things you do with your music or your radio. Like it's the dumbest thing. I see it daily. I get so angry when I watch a car come into my lane and almost hit me and I see them go last minute, look up from a phone. I want to follow them and beat them to a pulp. Like, how dare you in this day and age think that's okay? Think that's something you can do. It's been proven multiple times that it can't be done. I know some people are saying, well, I've done it and I've not had an accident, but you know what I mean? Like, I think we will get to a point, this whole idea of self-driving cars, it does freak me out a little bit. But again, I'm starting to see a little by little, maybe I would trust a self-driving car more than a person.
Heck yeah. There was a video post the other day on autonomous cars where it was dark out and the autopilot did an evasive maneuver that a person would not have had enough action, not enough time to swerve out of the way, saved their life because the computer was in control.
Really?
Yep. That one was saved. If the human being was doing it, it happened so fast under terrible conditions. The computer did the right thing. The human would have been like, shit.
My car will like beep and vibrate if I'm about to hit something. And I've noticed it'll hit the brake too. Mm-hmm. And it's done that for us when there was no threat. Like I was leaving work one time and there's a street, like a side street, and I'm pulling out of a parking space, but the camera thought the car coming down the side street was closer than it was. And it was like, arr! And I'm like, what the hell? Oh, because a car like so many yards away, it thought was closer. But at the same time, I'm like, well, I kind of want that when it matters.
Yeah. And it'll get better. It'll get better. But fortunately with cars, autopilots and autonomous vehicles are going to take the stupid person out of the equation. Then they could be distracted as they want to be wherever they want to be. And the car is going to be more reliable. With guns, different story. I don't necessarily think AI has an end here. Although it could, if you had electronic guns that, decided that it's not going to shoot unless, certain circumstances make it harder to fire. I'm sure technologies, I'm not a gun purist. So if you can load me up with some Wi-Fi gun that does, is a little bit better and safer for the user, I'm all for it.
Yeah. What if they start making firearms that are less lethal? Like it's not a bullet, it's something else. Doesn't come out this fast. It's just a hair slower. Like I could see that happening too, is people adopting more methods of what's the word? Like protection that is not as lethal. It sounds silly because like you don't want that versus somebody who has a lethal weapon, but
Well, they have less than lethal weapons right now.
yeah,
A ton of them. So yeah.
like I wouldn't want a knife versus someone who has a gun.
Mhm.
You know, I wouldn't want, I don't know, a can of mace versus someone who has a gun. You know, like there are less lethal things, but I wonder if, yeah, we will definitely have to start changing the actual items, the actual things, because clearly changing
Yeah.
the responsibility
Well, and
of
that's
people
the
is
innovation
not-
curve, is that we got to become smarter than the users because the users are getting stupider, and you got to put that everywhere.
Oh, God.
Ozempic. We'll end at Ozempic. Did you hear about Ozempic?
No.
So massive craze of overweight people that can't control their impulses to eat food, and so they get a shot, and it rejiggers their body so that they lose weight despite not making good decisions. Right?
Yeah.
They found as one little medical side effect is that partial blindness and full blindness. I think there was like 1,600 people that were on Ozempic that lost their sight because of it.
Dang.
They're getting sued in a pretty big way here. And it illustrates you should always go the natural route unless there's extenuating circumstances say you can't do that. And I think there's a lot of people because of convenience decided that they wanted to not change their habits but lose weight, and they took an unneeded risk. So if you had an ailment and you had a 50% chance of dying because you could not combat it naturally, then Ozempic's for you, because if you give up your sight to save your life, that's a gamble that's worth taking. But all of these pharmaceuticals have side effects. And so if you take a gamble on something that you could absolutely accomplish with just doing different things and lower your risk completely, but we have this faith in putting chemicals in our bodies to take the place of our own stupidity, right? And then when it injures us, then you look at everybody else like, drug companies, why didn't they see that coming? Because all of the testing that they do, right, cannot take all of the different variables that people put in their bodies and get exposure to and say it is 100% safe and it is 100% effective, because people have different environments they live in. They eat different things. They drink different waters. They breathe different airs. They're around you can't plan for all of that. And so that's why I just wish all people would take the natural way first, unless you have some kind of ailment that says it's not possible.
I was at dinner recently with a group of women that work in the medical field, and to hear them talk about the drugs, the medications that they just willy-nilly take, one of which was someone who was on like a GLP-1, wasn't Ozempic, but it was something, who was in no way overweight. I know 2 women now that have access to it because of their jobs. They are not in any way overweight or unhealthy, but they are so stuck on this body dysmorphia, maybe this mindset of I can't ever gain weight, I need to always be thin, that they take it. And I want to be like, you understand the inner workings of these drugs. You understand what they are meant for. You can prescribe them and you take it. And I started talking about some other issue that was bothering me. Not even a medical issue, just God, it keeps bothering me. I wish I could change that. And I really got to get better at that. And she's like, hey, there's a drug you can take. And I'm like, really? Oh yeah, I can get it for you. And you just inject it and it helps that. And you don't feel this way anymore. And I was like, well, thanks. I'm going to try something else first.
Yeah.
Not that big of a deal. I bet you I can just kind of train myself to just watch that a little more and, be a little healthier in this aspect. But it was immediate. There's a drug for that. And it's so interesting that it's the people in the medical field doing this. That why would they not say, oh, you know what? I know about that and try a few other things first. Only one person said, you can sort of like almost like the retrain your brain aspect. Try doing this for so many days and then you'll feel better about that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to try that idea before I stick a drug and needle in my arm.
Right. Because you calculated your risk tolerance for it. So okay, let's just say you had a sprinkler system that you installed in your house. So if there's ever a fire, you pull on this little lever and all of the sprinkler heads start spraying water everywhere. Right. Could your brain wrap around when it would be appropriate to pull the alarm, right? Because you're thinking different situations. So somebody's cooking on the stove, right? And you get a little grease fire. Do you pull it and water damage the entire house, right?
Yeah.
For the grease fire. Would that be an appropriate reaction?
Right now.
But if the second floor was on fire and you pull the fire alarm, then you know that is the appropriate time to call. You don't want to disproportionately react to something.
Yeah.
Right. There are other things you can do, like a little fire extinguisher, so you don't have to ruin the entire house. But pharmaceuticals, they need a lot of people on them so they can make a bunch of money. And when you expose a lot of people to it, then you have your fringe cases of people who had adverse reactions. And so long that you make enough money that you then pay off the people who have adverse reactions, the cycle continues again. You remember the Fight Club scene about the insurance companies?
Oh, no, it's been a long time.
So Ed Norton played an insurance adjuster. All right. And his job was to go after, do investigations on car crashes. And when he investigated, he would say if there was some kind of flaw in the car that caused, something to burst into flames, they would compare the cost of the recall on fixing the thing versus the payouts that it was going to cost them on the people who died from it. And if the payouts were less on the died part, they wouldn't do the recall. And the math in your brain is like, okay, well, that's the game that's being played against you on the chemical side of things. Yes, a lot of people get helped by these things, right? But if you're taking a risk that isn't even necessary, and you're getting injured doing something you didn't have to do, that is a sheer disconnection from risk tolerances.
Yeah.
I even hate when I have to take an Advil, right?
Yeah. I had somebody one time say, I was in an urgent care. Something was hurting in my chest. I can't remember what the deal was not urgent. I guess I should say was not like a medical emergency, but I don't know what I thought I was going to go get or do, but I just was like, I don't know if I have pulled a muscle, something hurts here and I've got some time and I'm just going to go, maybe they can give me something. And the people saw, almost 40-year-old woman, chest pain, and they stopped there. They didn't do a single thing. They said, we can't treat you. In fact, we are supposed to call an ambulance. And I was like, that's highly unnecessary. And they're like, oh, do you have any pain shooting down your arm? No, I had no way I'm having a heart attack. I've got some other issue. I don't know if I have pulled something in my chest. I don't know if something is out in my back. Like there's so many other things that could be happening right now. And they're like, almost 40-year-old woman with chest pains. We have to offer an ambulance, but we can't treat you here. You've got to go to the hospital. And I was like,
yep.
Can I? Yeah. I said, can I leave? They're like, yes. Okay. I'm going to do that.
All right. We're out of here for today. Thank you everybody for listening and watching. We'll be back, Kellen and I, on Wednesday. The MLO Bros will be back here tomorrow. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook.